folks. This is Kenny with Just the Right Angle, coming at you a little bit earlier today, doing a broadcast on what happened with my adventures in the Senate, Arkansas Senate state agencies yesterday. You can find me, of course, Just the Right Angle on Rumble. This will also be a recording on Podbean, where you can listen in and share this with others. Also, of course, there's links where you can donate. I do that every time. Well, folks, yesterday was kind of a bad day for a whole host of reasons, not just with the weather. There was an effort to push several, I call them anti-ballot initiative bills. And it's SB 207 through SB 212. And unfortunately, even though we have a Republican supermajority, most of these bills were passed. And for those who may not remember them years ago, there's... Oh, wait. So years ago, there was an effort to sabotage the ballot initiative process. There's been fights against the ballot initiative process for years, in particularly regarding paper ballots. Now, the supposed years ago, the Arkansas Chamber of Commerce under Randy Zook pushed forth an effort to require more signatures and require more counties after some marijuana initiatives got through, and there was an effort to push for a pro-abortion initiative got through. Our state allows for people to gather signatures and put on the ballot the ability to vote on certain issues. There's a process where you gather signatures by going out, gathering, getting petitions, going to events or at family events, and getting people to sign to put on the ballot items to be voted on. In recent years, because of the failures of the Democrat Party of Arkansas and the rejection of leftist ideology in general, a lot of leftist organizations have found ways to bankroll ballot initiatives to try to get the leftist agenda pushed through. During the last election, they almost succeeded. They gathered enough signatures to put on the ballot and a bill that would legalize abortion. However, their canvasser affidavit for paid canvassers was not signed correctly, the paperwork for that wasn't handled correctly, and so it was not put on the ballot. And I believe there was also an attempt regarding recreational marijuana to be put on the ballot. I think there was some issue with their paperwork as well. And then there was an effort to get rid of Arkansas Learns because Big Education doesn't like that bill. They didn't get enough signatures. People rejected them outright. The problem is on the Republican side, we have a bunch of what are called Republicans in name only or RINOs who are making efforts to throw out the baby with the bathwater. They are trying to get rid of the ballot initiative process altogether, which in the past has been a great tool by conservatives. There was an effort to put on term limits, and that was sabotaged by the Arkansas Chamber of Commerce. They sued and threw out enough signatures to keep that from getting on the ballot. And years ago, there was an effort to ban gay marriage. That was ended by one judge, a county judge. I believe it was Tim Fox or Chris Piazza, I believe it was one of these leftist judges, simply threw out the case, threw out the will of the people after family council, people like myself, my wife, and others had gathered signatures to put on the ballot for that to be voted on. And the Republican Party, instead of defunding that judge and making a real effort to try to fight on that issue, just kind of let the judge do what he wanted to. And so there's no effort to defund leftist judges. There's no effort to do something about these massive organizations that bankroll a lot of these ballot initiatives. Instead, they're trying to go after canvassers. They're trying to make it more difficult to go after canvassers. And I can show you some of the pieces of legislation. The thing I have right now is the actual committee, but I wanted to show you the highlights of the legislation. Here they are. They're in the Arkansas Senate right now, which is going to meet Wednesday at 1:30. And it passed out of committee yesterday, and it's standard procedure. When it goes out of committee, it goes to full Senate. But here they are right here. These are the anti-ballot initiative things. You have to disclose that signing a petition, that petition fraud's a misdemeanor. That should already be known. And you shouldn't have to explain the law to everybody every time somebody does something. But that would make, you would have to do that to anybody. You have to amend the law. You have to request a photo ID, even if it's a family member, which is something that's not required. This one gives them the ability to disqualify signatures under certain circumstances, and it makes it easier for them to throw out signatures. And then this one requires you to read the entire ballot title, the whole thing. Just to put in perspective, and one person who testified this so later on, the marijuana initiative was 10,000 words. So this is unreasonable. This is like as Joe McCutcheon testified, it's like putting a stop sign every 5 feet in the name of public safety. Well, you put so many restrictions, you end the ability to travel. And by putting these many restrictions, you end the ability to ballot initiatives. And they know that. And this one requires all canvassers to submit an affidavit, even if you're a volunteer. And then there was another one called SB 212 that was actually blocked. That one would set up a ballot initiative vetting system. I forgot the actual term, but it's basically more government with the Secretary of State to give them the power to throw out signatures and I believe even possibly enforce the law and go after people, even though the laws that are currently on the books are not being enforced. And so these are very bad laws. They're not going to stop the pro-abortion agenda. All they're going to do is just make it a little bit harder for volunteers, which most conservatives are, to actually get something on the ballot. That's all this effort is going to accomplish. And the sad thing is a lot of people that are pushing for this don't know that. Some people do, but a lot of people don't. And there was a lot of what I call pro-life folks that were there that testified for this bill, but they had no idea what was really going on. Most of them said the same thing, that they were tricked by a bunch of, they saw a bunch of pro-abortion people trick others into signing the petition to legalize abortion. The thing is, I'll get to the real reason why that happened, but even most of them admitted that the law wasn't enforced. And of course, yours truly was one of many people that was in the middle of that fight of blocking, trying to keep that, trying to inform Arkansas voters not to sign that. But yet, I, along with a lot of other people that were in that movement, are vehemently against these bills. So these bills are not going to protect the unborn. All they're going to do is just, like I said, make it harder for conservatives to push for ballot initiative processes. In particular, the main target is paper ballots. And they will never admit that, but that's really what this is about. This is trying to stop the paper ballot initiative from ever from being done on a state level or even on a county level. And it's these anti-Trump, pro-Asa Hutchinson, Republican and name-only folks that are behind this. I call them the local globalists in Arkansas. There are lots of names for them. The establishment, some of the, I believe Conduit and Paul Harrell used to call them the Marble Palace, these folks. And so what I'm going to play is some footage from this. I first want to play the actual vote. There is a chance to stop this because this really was not popular. It needed 5 votes to get out of the Arkansas Senate committee. These only got 4. But they got voice vote, and the chair ruled in favor of the votes. This is why you need to go chairs, and it's really sad because it was Scott Flippo was the one who pushed this. I actually volunteered to help get him elected and defeating John Burris years ago. So it is kind of sad to see this. Conduit, by the way, the group that helped put Scott Flippo in office, vehemently opposed this. I have a link that shows their article regarding this. You can see and read for yourself. It goes into a little more detail of why these are bad bills. But let me go back to here and play. This was the final vote on this bill. At least these four of these bills here.
Mr. Chair, I think a lot of discussion has been had. I think enough on either side has been said that we can move to the point that I will make a motion to adopt Senate Bill 210.
All right, motion from Senator Hammer, see second. Second from Senator Sullivan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Senate Bill 210 has been adopted.
Same thing, Mr. Chairman, I would move to adopt Senate Bill 208.
All right, we got a motion to second from Senator Sullivan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Again, these are voice votes.
And bill carries. Senate Bill 207.
Mr. Chairman, same thing, I would move adopt Senate Bill 207.
Okay, we got a motion to pass from Senator Hammer. We got a second from Senator Sullivan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Senate Bill 207, we pass. All right, Senate Bill 212.
Chair, I'm just deferring. Is it a member of the committee that's calling for roll call?
Do you want a roll call?
I mean, it seems like there's not. Okay, so unless this one is different.
Okay,
All right, where is it?
We might roll call this one just to see if it's the one I think there's some. Seems like there's a five.
Let's roll call this one. All right, we got a motion from Senator Hammer.
Senate
So anyway, that was that piece of legislation. I don't know why it's frozen in on this. Let me go back to this one here. So those bills were fast tracked out of there. They could have been stopped had there been a roll call vote on every one of them because it needed 5 votes to pass. They only got 4. I don't know how popular this is in the Senate or in the House, but if you put enough pressure on people on the legislature, you can defeat some of these pieces of legislation, even though a lot of this was conjured up and done behind closed doors, like many other things that have been done. If you put, like I said, if you put enough pressure on the legislatures, you can make them listen to you and defeat some of these. Is what I hope it happens. That's why part of the reason why I do this. I've seen it done. I've seen it work before. We did it in a positive way regarding this, the bill, sanctuary cities, ban sanctuary cities in Arkansas. So we, like I said, we banned this as best we could. We fought, we fight against the establishment, really, and it's really basically the leadership of the Democrat and Republican Party. Because during this legislation, I have other footage. A lot of the Democrat activists were opposed to this as well, but their leadership actually was for it. Matter of fact, Charles Tucker, the guy in the legislature right there who was talking there, he could have called for a roll call vote and it didn't. He spent about nearly 2 hours asking various questions about the bill, but he could have actually killed this by demanding roll call vote. I believe it takes 2 legislators to do a roll call vote. And then eventually, close right before 212, Brian King then asked for a roll call vote. And then I think Tucker finally caved in and admitted to doing the same. You can kind of hear that at the end. And then the chair, Scott Flippo, went ahead and did that. And again, you need to know this process. This is how bills are made. I'm going to play here is from Joe McCutcheon. He's testified on many issues before. He's mainly with the Arkansas Voter Integrity Initiative, and they mainly focus on protecting the Freedom of Information Act. But he also does a lot regarding this issue as well. He's been involved in a lot of the political fights for years on these various issues. So let me play his testimony, right? It's just a few minutes. Give me just a moment. Here.
For the record, he is paying attention. Okay. Mr. President, you'll sit down and introduce yourself. Tell us you're here to speak for yourself, and you can bring out your system.
Thank you, Joey McCutcheon, as a citizen and also for the Arkansas Transparency and Government Group. I think there's no more important mechanisms to hold government accountable than number one, the Freedom of Information Act, and also the ballot initiative process, and that's why I'm here today. We can debate all day about whether it's constitutional. We know one thing, it serves the people, and that's why I'm here today. I want to talk about, for a second, 210. My friends at Family Council put this document out. It says the marijuana amendment that passed in 2016 was over 10,000 words long. 10,000 words long. That's going to hurt the people. I stood on the street corners over the summer and I collected signatures. And, we're going to tell Bubba that we're going to read him this ballot title. How long is that going to take? What do you think, Bubba? The Bubba that I'm familiar with, the conservative Bubba. Bubba's going to say, I read this thing. I don't want big brother government telling me what to do. And I think that's what this is all about, big brother government interfering with the rights of the people. I think it's a solution looking for a problem. And I think when I stood on street corners and I talked to Bubba in a free dialogue back and forth, and I had to start the conversation with, oh, Bubba, I have to read this to you, then I have to go and I have to tell Bubba that, by the way, Bubba, petition fraud under ACA 79103 is a Class A misdemeanor. And Bubba tells me, what's a Class A misdemeanor? Well, you can go to jail for it, and you can also face a $1,000 fine. I don't think Bubba's going to like that process, and I don't think the citizens who passed this in 1910 would like that either. And I think it speaks against regnant populace. The people rule. This is our process. This is our citizen legislators. And we don't need to be governed to any extent by this legislative body. And it's important. This is fundamental. This is fundamental to our republic, what we're doing here today. And it's meaningful. And then for those who think you can create the document validity division, to me that's kind of a scary title. It's kind of Orwellian to me. And for those who think that that's not going to grow government, now we're going to create.
We'll fit that 3-minute mark, so there's that.
Thank you, Senator.
All right. Are there questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, Mr. President, take the lead. Thank you.
So, folks, and I'll show the Conduit article that you can read on this. I posted a link to it as well. But yeah, he goes through making it why this only thing is designed to do is make it harder for canvassers to do ballot initiatives. That's the main thing that this is about. And the sad thing is like I said before, this isn't going to stop the pro-abortion vote. Sorry, folks. Rumble has this thing where it automatically plays a video right afterwards. Anyway, but here's an article that just goes in a little more detail of what this was. This is the Document Validity Division. This is basically the Ministry of Truth as George Orwell referred to. It's another government body, and it works to disqualify citizen petitions in place. They already do this, by the way, with the Secretary of State. And by the way, the Chamber of Commerce can do this. Other agencies, they'll even file a lawsuit and get you to testify regarding signatures. And they'll drag you in and try to harass you that way, in the middle of that process. So again, all it is it takes away power from we the people and gives it to those who wear suits and get paid to be in the marble palace. That's what this legislation does. It's not going to protect the unborn. It's not a pro-life effort. And sadly, a lot of pro-life folks have been duped in supporting this. But I guess it's not any different than what's happened regarding other pro-life folks. We've seen the problem with the pro-life issue is in the past, there's been a lot of fakers in the pro-life effort. I've talked about them. Asa Hutchinson, who touted himself as being a pro-life guy, but during the Rona, when he was imposing lockdowns and mask mandates and pushing for the vaccine, and other states were going, well, okay, if you're going to shut down medical facilities, and we'll go ahead and shut down the abortion clinics too. Asa Hutchinson kept that abortion clinic open. I was at the abortion clinic when that happened. Jason Rapert showed up later on as well. And you got guys like Bishop Anthony Taylor, who spends most of the resources of the various Catholic charities to actually push for illegal immigration. He only says a few words regarding abortion. There's nowhere near the effort to push for to fight for the unborn as there is to defend illegals. And he actually had to be banned from one of the March for Life because he hijacked one of those events to talk about, among illegal alien issues, and I think some other leftist stuff. He's pro-LGBTQ. He's been at LGBTQ rallies. I have Bishop Anthony Taylor on video. But yeah, he's another one who just pretends to be pro-life. And then you have, let's see. Recently, I did a video on this, the effort regarding the abortion amendment, the ballot initiative. There was a group that was set up to fight that. And they hire people to go out and inform people to not sign a ballot initiative. The term for them is blockers. And they don't actually physically block people. They just inform people, say, don't sign. There's been successful efforts in the past. Years ago, there was an effort by Sheffield Nelson to put on the natural gas tax. Yours truly was part of the effort to keep that from being on the ballot, and we succeeded because the folks that were pushing for that years ago, it was Americans for Prosperity, a lot of other conservative groups got together and they funded people. They paid them. They gave them resources. They gave them an information network so we could find out where petitioners were, and we were able to successfully keep them from getting enough signatures to get on the ballot, and we defeated that. But with the abortion issue, that wasn't the case. There was a group that was set up called Stronger Arkansas, and it raised almost as much funds as the group Arkansas for Limited Government, which was the pro-abortion group. But Stronger Arkansas didn't pay people. They didn't set up a network, and instead it siphoned money off the Axiom and Red Right Strategies and a couple other groups. It was just a money laundering scheme. And so because of that, the pro-abortion people, as I've mentioned before, did get enough signatures to be on the ballot. The only reason they weren't on the ballot is because they screwed up again with their paid canvasser petition affidavit papers. And that scam organization, Stronger Arkansas, was set up by Chris Caldwell. So whether these bills pass or not, the pro-abortion people are going to bankroll another pro-abortion amendment. They're going to do it. They're going to, last time it was, most of the money for that was funded by some fake LLC in Blytheville that was funded by some folks in Connecticut. Okay, it's some kind of seeding company, but you go to their website and the only thing there is one pro-COVID vaccine video. Okay, it's nothing but a fake LLC. And they're going to bankroll another pro-abortion amendment. And if you want to, the way to stop that is to mount a decent campaign to urge people not to sign, but make it a real one, not the fake volunteer only one that was done last time that failed to do their job. And I know there's an advertisement for Bow Ties for Babies, the fundraiser, and they tout how they kept the pro-abortion amendment off the ballot. No, they didn't. They failed. If the pro-abortion people had not screwed up with their papers regarding paid canvassers, it would have gotten the ballot. I don't know if it would have passed or not, but it would have gone on the ballot. And all this stuff about fake pro-life folks leads me to this other issue. Arkansas Education Committee fails to pass pro-life ultrasound education bill. This is by lifenews.com. And I'm sure other sources have had this. This was called HB 1180, the Baby Olivia Act by Mary Bentley and Clint Penzo. Ensures public schools show students a recording of a high-definition ultrasound video. It's 3 minutes long, and it's part of a human growth and development education courses. And it teaches about human development. Now, what happened was, first off, somehow, after an hour discussion, the bill sponsors offered to pull the bill down so they could address concerns. Instead, Stephanie Flowers made a motion do not pass in order to kill the bill before the sponsors could address the committee's concerns. And then the following senators voted in favor of do not pass. Stephanie Flowers, Democrat, Pine Bluff. She's known for cussing people out on sometimes and going into tirades. There's another Reginald Murdoch, Mariana, Democrat. But here's Republican. This is Jane English of North Little Rock. And then here's another Republican, Breanne Davis. So because these four voted do not pass, the bill was killed in committee. Now, they may still be able to amend the bill, or the Arkansas Senate may be able to pull the bill out of that committee and still vote on it. And you need to know that because there's a lot of legislators that'll be like, well, I'm pro-life. Well, did you vote to pull the bill out of committee? What did you do to fight for this? And here I'm posting a link to this right now so people can look at this later. When I talk about fakers, pro-life people, the Republican Party has pro-life as part of its platform. Yet these two found an excuse to kill this bill. And I've seen some other statements basically saying that the Baby Olivia bill, because it doesn't show any complications regarding birth or some other thing, it isn't perfect, so we have to kill it. But see, here's the issue. There's a lot of people that pretend to be pro-life. When it really matters, they find some excuse to not support pro-life measures like this one. And again, we have a Republican supermajority. There is no reason why this shouldn't pass. There's 2 Democrats on this committee. Notice how there was a roll call on this. Notice how this bill failed, but the anti-ballot initiative bills passed. 4 votes. It needed 5 to pass. And as you can see, these 2 are against it. Really, I don't like the way this committee was set up in the first place. It needs more senators or less Democrats. And again, Republicans have a supermajority. That means we have 75% of the Arkansas Senate. So hopefully this bill will be amended, put pressure on these 2, particularly this one. This lady only won her primary because Democrats crossed over and helped elect her. There was a guy that Conduit had named Bob Bailey who won the Republican vote but didn't get enough Democrat votes. If we had close primaries, you would have Bob Bailey, and I highly doubt Bob Bailey would have found some kind of excuse to join the do not pass effort regarding the Baby Olivia bill. And this is the kind of stuff you need to know about and know what's going on. You're not going to get this much detail from the TV news or from hardly anybody else. Well, I'm putting it here on record so you'll know what's going on. Well, folks, I have a lot of non-political stuff to do. I do have bills to pay. Speaking of which, if you like what you see here, you can go ahead and donate at just the right angle. Here's my donation links. I always post them. They're also in the description of this organization, of this broadcast. You can share this with others, folks. Helps us, even just getting some extra views in here. United States of America is doing pretty good. Donald Trump's kicking out a lot of government officials. A lot of USA aid, the millions that they're wasting there is being stopped. The border's starting to get sealed up. Illegals are starting to get kicked out. So on a national level, things are turning around a little bit, but on a local level, we still have a long way to go. So always remember the Bible verse I always say, leave with, when the wicked rule, the people groan. Always remember that. We have a chance to choose who rules, and we have a say now. So find a way to get involved. Find out about your county committees. The Pulaski County Republican Committee is meeting February 20th, 6 p.m. at the Republican Party of Arkansas headquarters at 6th and Cross. Be there. If you can't be there, let everyone know to be there. If you know of any other important meetings, let me know. There's also a fundraiser by Gun Owners of Arkansas. They are having a fundraiser this Saturday, the 15th, at the 4-H Club. That is a Facebook event. Type in Gun Owners of Arkansas. Be there as well. If you can't, donate to that organization. Help them out. A lot of guest speakers. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and quit and show that. I was about to end, and I suddenly remembered that. It is this Saturday at 1 at Vine Center, 1-4-H Little Rock. There's that tab, and I'll share that event. This is the real group, not the Wayne LaPierre Shopping Network, okay? The NRA. This is the group that really cares about gun rights. I know a lot of folks in the NRA are pro-gun, but the leadership of that organization has failed, just like in the Republican Party. But anyway, that's it. Find a way to get involved. And otherwise, you all have a great day.